Chapter 718. Dorian and his family are at a loss for words. Mr. Grayson's buddy, considering who Benjamin was, realizing that they offended a buddy of his was enough for them to know that they had screwed up. All three of them went pale in the face, beginning to fear for their lives. Wilbur said, "Hey, Mr. Grayson, this woman rear-ended me. Not only did she refuse to own up to it, but she even called for her family to come over. They threatened me and attacked me first, so I had no choice but to fight back. These people are only here because they called for them as well. I bumped into them in this neighborhood on the way to see you, and they shouted at once that they were going to take care of me, so I had to protect myself." Wilbur glanced at Dorian and his family after he was done. The entire family was scared out of their wits. None of them had the guts to say a word in front of Benjamin, curling in on themselves and cowering in fear. Benjamin looked at Dorian. "It sounds like my buddy's story isn't quite the same as the one you told me." Dorian's chest lurched, his legs wobbled, and he collapsed to the ground. Sweat beaded on his forehead. This man was a friend of Benjamin's. Dorian barely even dared to look at Wilbur now, nor did he dare to say another word in front of Benjamin, shaking in terror. The woman and her son were terrified as well, sweat pouring down their backs. None of them had expected things to end this way. They had offended a friend of Benjamin, which meant that they had pretty much offended Benjamin as well. What was going to happen to them? How were they going to survive in this Seachertown government after this? Dorian and his family grew in terror at the thought. All of them felt like their souls were about to leave their bodies, their chest heaving. Just then, Benjamin waved a hand at the two officers. Neither of the officers knew who Benjamin was. However, they could tell that he was definitely someone of power. If Dorian, the city council secretary, was cowering on the ground in terror, this old man had to be pretty terrifying. The officers had no choice but to face the music. Benjamin frowned. "My friend just wanted to have dinner at my place. You can solve your case afterward. There's no rush. Tell your superior to know the difference between right and wrong, yeah? It doesn't matter if this guy's my buddy. He should be punished if he's in the wrong. But if someone's trying to frame him, I hope you take that seriously as well." Dorian and his family could hardly contain their panic. It did not take a genius to figure out what Benjamin was implying. He was saying that they should be punished. Someone like Dorian would never have the guts to mess with a friend of Benjamin if he had known who Wilbur was earlier. Besides, Dorian was in the wrong here. Dorian and his family were used to having their way and did not see a problem with behaving like this. It was only until they had faced Benjamin that they understood what true power and authority was. Benjamin spoke slowly and leisurely. He had not even tried to cover for his friend. Nonetheless, everything that Benjamin had said struck Dorian and his family like a heavy weight that they could not take at all. The family was now regretting everything they had said and done. Amidst a fit of panic, Dorian shouted after Benjamin's retreating back, "Wait, Mr. Grayson, let me explain." He was desperate to cut his losses and save himself, but Benjamin hardly even paid him any mind, disappearing from Dorian's sight with Wilbur. Dorian's chest filled with dread at once. What was going to become of him if this got out to the Seachertown government? His future had just gone down the drain.